everybody, welcome to my channel DIY with Knick-Knack, where no mess is too big to clean up. Thank you guys so much for watching. Today I'm actually going to be showing you guys how I created this almost 6 foot tall nutcracker. I had so much fun making this. I didn't use all the products that I'm showing here in this picture, but I did end up using a lot of them, and most of them came from the Dollar Tree. The first thing I did was try and figure out what pieces work best for his body, and these are the pieces that I came up with. This here is a piece of scrap wood that I got from Home Depot. They have a section where all their wood is 70% off if it's damaged, if it's scraps, and sometimes you can find pieces in there that are completely free. I just cut it down with my saw, and there are many different methods you can use to cut down wood. There are hand saws, there are electric saws. I just encourage you guys to be very safe and careful in whatever method that you use. Here, as you can see, I'm just measuring out where I'm going to be drilling my holes at. I'm going to take this same piece of wood and use it as sort of a pattern for the base. That way my legs are even from the top to the bottom. I am going to go ahead and start creating those holes in my base. And I just want to talk to you guys a little bit about the screws that I use. I actually just picked up a packet. I had these at home already from Home Depot. They are the 8 by 1.5 inch screws, and they don't have to be this long for this project. This is just me using what I have on hand. For this next step, I have these 2 wooden dowels here that I got from Walmart. They are marked with the color red. I'm actually going to be using these for his legs, and what I'm going to do is drill 2 holes in the bottom of these so I can screw them right on top of the base. These costed me 97 cents each. I went ahead and added 2 screws to the bottom, and I'm actually going to start assembling my nutcracker. Now that I have their legs attached to the base, I'm actually going to drill 2 holes into the wooden dowels on the top so that I can start attaching the body of the nutcracker. Here is where that piece of scrap wood comes in. He's going to go right on top of the wooden dowels. This is what the bottom half looks like once all 4 pieces are put together. At this point, I could have actually used wood glue to attach this piece, but I went ahead and used my screws because I didn't want to wait for it to dry. This part only required 2 screws. For this next step, I'm going to be using wood glue, adding generous amounts, and attaching this to the back. This is going to give my nutcracker the support that he needs. I could have gone the extra step and actually added the same piece that's in the front to the back, but I didn't have it, so I just did without, and it worked just fine. As you can see, I use hot glue as well. I use this so I can actually hold it into place while the wood glue is drying. Did a little measuring just to make sure it was centered. Now I'm going to be using my black apple barrel paint to give him a coat. I'm actually not going to be painting the legs because they're not going to show. I ended up painting over him 2 times, and that was plenty of coverage. Next, I'm actually going to be using these pool noodles for his legs, his arms, and 2 pieces on the side. I will say I did make this nutcracker twice, and I found some pool noodles from Walmart. They were on sale for 10 cents. They were a lot thicker than the ones that I'm using now, and they did look a lot better. But I am going to use what I have. The legs ended up being 36 inches long. The arms ended up being 12.5 inches long. And then the 2 pieces for the side ended up being 8.5 inches long. Once I get them all cut down to the size that I want them to be, I'm going to be going over each and every one of them with paint. I started this out the wrong color. I actually want the legs to be white. And then I am going to go back and change that. But I'm going to be using the same brand and the same color for the arms and the 2 pieces on the side. Now that that's done, I'm actually going to move on to his face. The Dollar Tree had so many different options that I could have chosen from, but I went with this bucket here from the Halloween collection. I love the way it's shaped, and I felt like it would be perfect for this project. I'm just cutting a hole in the bottom about the same size as the square that I used for his spine, because I'm actually just going to set this right on top. I'm going to be using the same color paint, which is a light mocha and apple barrel, to color his hands and his nose. I'm going to be using these Jenga squares for his nose, only one of them. I ended up having to coat this 2 times, and it was perfect amount of coverage. For my Nutcracker's hands, I'm just using these foam balls. I cut them in half and ended up having to cut them down even smaller than what they are in order for them to fit on the pool noodle perfectly. For my Nutcracker's outfit, I knew that I wanted it to be very textured and fun. So the first thing I did was take a piece of paper and create the outfit that I felt would be perfect for him before cutting out my shapes in these texture pieces that I found from the Dollar Tree. Once I got those pieces cut out, I coated them with black paint and I let them dry for a matte finish. Now that my Nutcracker's face is dry, I'm actually going to start putting on his eyes, his nose, his head. I'm going to be doing this with hot glue. His head, I'm going to be using this felt roll that I got from the Dollar Tree, and it does have a generous amount. I'm just going to measure around his head just to kind of estimate how much I'm going to want to cut off. And I'm actually going to be attaching it to a poster board and just wrapping it around. It's very simple and it ended up working out perfect. For my Nutcracker's hair, I'm going to be using this duster I got from the Dollar Tree. I did end up needing 2. I cut them into strips using the seams that were already in the back of it. And I placed some in the back of his head as well as the front for his beard. Now it's time to get him dressed. I'm actually using 2 spray painted silver wooden screws to finish off the lower part of his outfit. I'm going to let that dry. And for my Nutcracker's arms, I'm actually going to be taking those 12.5-inch pool noodles and I'm just going to be giving them a little shine. I took a food mat from the Dollar Tree. It comes 2 in a pack. I only needed 1 for this part. I spray painted it silver. I took that pool noodle, glued it to a piece of wood, and wrapped some of that silver around his arm. I was done with his arms. For my Nutcracker's boots, what I did was took those same plastic food mats and spray painted 2 of them black. And then I just designed his boots the way that I wanted them to look. I kept the scraps because I'm actually going to be using that for something else that I'm going to show you here in a second. And I just glued them down. I'm using this buffalo check dish rag that I found from the Dollar Tree to kind of jazz up his outfit a little bit. And then once I glued that down with hot glue, I'm just actually going to glue down the bottom part of his outfit with hot glue. Now that I have the most important pieces of his outfit put together, I'm actually going to be taking some of those scraps that I have and just adding some finishing touches. This is totally optional. And I'm going to be fastening his arms into place with some hot glue. And then I'll be gluing down his hands and also wrapping them with some of that silver, which made it look really nice. The reason why I kept the black scraps from his boots was so that I can create him some eyebrows and a mustache. I actually just did my best to cut something out, and this is what I came up with. And here's the finished product. Isn't that so cute? I really want to thank you guys for hanging in there with me and watching this video. I really do hope you guys try and recreate this because I had so much fun doing it.